Welcome to the fastest stuff in town. Today, Masechtas Menachos, Daf Samach Gimel. We're going to begin on the very top of Samach Gimel but Aleph by the new Mishnah. Ha'emer, if a person makes the following declaration, Harilei b'machvas yavi b'marcheshes. B'marcheshes yavi b'machvas. As we've said before, there's two basic types of mincha offerings. One's called a machvas, one's a marcheshes. As we say, Hashem Shabbos Habenim Habas Akel Yiratzu Kemincha, just like a mincha offering, al machvas, on a machvas. So, why is it a machvas? Obviously, a machvas is specific, and a marcheshes is specific. So you have to bring exactly as you said. So what exactly is this difference? So ma bein machvas and marcheshes. So we've always been saying the distinction, but it's really there's two different tirutzim. We've always been saying the second answer of the Mishnah. This first one, which is less known, is marcheshes yesh kisui, machvas ein lo kisui. It sounds like really they're the same thing. Just one has a covering, like a lid on top of the pot, and one doesn't. Rabbi Yoseguli, Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel no. Marcheshes is a muka, is a deep pan, umaseha roichshin, and the oil shakes inside if you touch it, right? Which means it's kind of soft because it's so thick. It's such a really big pan. Machvas kemincha al machvas, on it is bih marcheshes, in it, which means like it's deeper. Al machvas is like on it, which is a shallow pan, which is what he says here. Machvas safa umaseha kashin, because it's thinner, so therefore its contents, its texture is going to be harder. Okay. So the Gemara asks, "My taima, what is the reason of Rabbi Yossi? What does Rabbi Yossi say? The distinction, or Rabbi Yossi, between a marcheshes and a machvas has to do with just a covering. So ilema marcheshes yasi archushi halev, maybe the word marcheshes, and the reason why we're saying the marcheshes, it has like a covering, so too it's like a person should cover up any impure thoughts in their hearts. K'dichsiv, the pasuk says, Rachash libi davar toiv, that when it comes to a thought in my heart which is good, umachvas, and therefore again that's what it means. Marcheshes is like something which is covered up and closed, like something which is in our heart. So therefore, it must mean it's talking about a covering. Umachvas yasi chavuye hapeh. And machvas, in which we're saying is like opened, is like slander. Kinamri inchi menavach navuche, like it's almost like barking, but basically the idea is that your mouth is open, speaking. Fine. So eima ibcha, maybe it's the other way around. Machvas yasi chavuye halev. Dersiv lama nichbesa. Livruach, why do you conceal yourself? Open up. Marcheshes yasi archushi kinyami inchi havi marcheshin sifoiseha. Your lips were moving. So el gemar gemirila. It's not based on psukim because you can go either way, but it's just based on his own kabbalah, his own tradition. That this one's covered, this one's uncovered. Okay. So marcheshes amuk, it's deep. Dichsiv v'chol nasa b'marcheshes, it's in it. Machvas sofa, it's very thin, like floating. Dichsiv v'al machvas. So that's of course that's the drasha. Tanobanim. Beishami oimrim ha'omer, one who says hari alai marcheshes. So he says hari alai marcheshes. Doesn't say bimarcheshes. He says harilai marcheshes. So we say we're not sure exactly what your intentions over here. Because Masafka lahu, el shum kli nikru, maybe you're actually talking that you want to donate a kli, which happens to be a marcheshes to the base of Mikdash, o el shum masayan, or maybe it means its contents. So it's not so clear what you're referring to. Because it could be referring to the kli sharis, or maybe not. So Meshom Rabbi no, kli hoyi b'mikdash is referring to the kli in the Beis Hamikdash. That's what it was. Umar Cheshes Shema, that was his name. So, and Rashi points out over here what it's going to look like. V'doimik kimin kalbus. It looks like kalbus, which is a type of a kli, some form of tongs. It says it's kizeh. You just look at this picture in the Rashi. Kind of interesting picture, but that's where you put the different flour. Almuk, it's deep. Ukshabatsek, when you're kneading and doing the dough, munach b'toichai, you put it inside it, and doimik kimin tapuche havrasim. It has the appearance as so and so in the laws. So it says it's something which grows over there. Ka'ela ka'alnain. Okay. Ukimin balute hayavanim, like these Greek acorns. The V'omer kol nasa b'marcheshes v'al machvas alma al shum akelim nikru v'al shum masayan. So basically, Beis Hillel holds that the neder is to bring a kli. Okay, question 11. Basically, it's a suffix. Is he referring to the minchas marcheshes on the name of a kli? Im kain zel havi kli the schaven. His intention was for the kli. The al shem asen kruin kain, maybe was based on the action. The ein shem hakli kain, that's not a kli. Im kain zel carbon mincha the schaven. His intention was to bring a carbon, but not to donate the kli. Okay, that's basically what the answer is. Okay, let's keep moving. Okay. Says the Mishnah, Hari alai b'tanur. A person makes a neder and says, I'm going to bring a mincha and I'm going to bake it in a big oven. So lo yavi ma'afi kupach. You can't use a kupach, which Rashi says is min tanur katan. You can't use a small oven. V'lo ma'afi ra'afim. You can't use an oven in which they use hot tiles. Lo ma'afi ya'oirais harabim. Or these Arab heating systems. Again, these are just not, it's not the same thing as a tanur. So if you say you're going to bake in a tanur, that's precisely what you have to do. Rabbi Yehuda Omer writes maybe mafi kupach. No. Even though you said tanur, you can still use a kupach, because a kupach is a type of tanur. Even though a tanur is typically big and the kupach is small, but they're one's called a big oven, and one's a small oven. They're both ovens. So therefore that would be okay. A person says harilai minchas ma'afe, in which it's written over there chalos or a kikin. So typically you would bring chalos and you can bring rakikin, one or the other. But according to this opinion, it says yavi mechsa chalos or mechsa rakikin, which makes sense. You can only do one or the other. Shimon matir mimnei shehu carbon echad, says Rashi. So we're going to see later on in Daf Ayin Vav, kol menachos ba'oisai bois eser. All of them come in 10. V'zel lo yavi hey chalos v'hei rakikin. Since it's supposed to be brought in 10, it's supposed to be the same min, and therefore you shouldn't do 5 chalos and 5 wafers. El hakol chalos o hakol rakikin. They all have to be from the same. However, he says no, it's not true. You can bring 5 and 5, and we had this before, which seemingly we don't hold like. Says the Gemara, Tanur ma'afi tanur. So an oven is v'lo ma'afi kupach, not a small oven. V'lo ma'afi rafim, not an oven which is heated by tiles. V'lo ma'afi ya'oidos harbiyim, or again this other heating element by the Arabs. Rabbi Yehuda Omer tanur shnei pam. He says the word tanur twice. V'lo hachshir ma'afi kupach, to tell you that even when you say tanur, a kupach will also work. Rabbi Shimon Omer tanur shnei pamim. You're right. It says tanur twice. Echash nehe afiyasim b'tanur. One to say that the baking should be in a big oven. Echash nehe hekdishin b'tanur. And the other is to tell you that it should be sanctified in there. In other words, the tanur, the oven, is what sanctifies it. When we easily Rabbi Shimon, how does he hold like that? V'tanan, Rabbi Shimon oilam habi ragel loimer shnei lechem v'lechem apanim ksheris ba'azara. We are accustomed to say that the shtei lechem apanim are kosher in the azara, which clearly means that the tanur is not mekadesh, a carbon. The kashrus bebeis pagi. The kashrus is beis pagi, which is, as Rashi says, chutz l'chaymas hazara. It's done outside of the azara. So says Rashi, v'yisak adayatach tanur mekadesh yifsul b'yaitze. Then you can't bake it outside if it was sanctified in the oven. So if it was already put in the oven, so that you can't bring it outside to bake in the beis pagi. So how can you say that you're allowed to do that? Obviously, been iser yaitze, because it was already kaddish. You can't, be possibly yaitze. Tanur. It just means that you're makdish it l'shum tanur for the sake of an oven, but it doesn't mean that you are it becomes kaddish in the tanur, because then otherwise again it would be possible biyaitze. Question TB 15. Haimer harelai minchas mafi tanur ma mevi. If he says, I'm going to bring a minchas mafi tanur. Let's get this down. So what did I write? What did I write over here? This is what I wrote is not correct. Let's see. Lahashim afi kupach tanur shnim pam echash teyafiyasam tanur echash teyakdishim tanur. Not sure if this is the question. If you say Harile Minchas Ma'afi Tanur. I'm going to hold off over there. Okay, well, maybe we'll get back to that soon. Okay, fine. So Harile Minchas Ma'afi V'lo Yavi Mechsa, right? So if you say, because this is going back really in our Mishnah, right? If you say Hare Alai Minchas Ma'afi Tanur, right? So the question is, can you bring half and half, or you could bring half and half? I think that's really where we're going here. Fine, let's just finish this, then we'll go that way. Taraban. The pasuk says V'chisakriv, when you're makriv the carbon, so kishetekriv lasos davar shus, when you intend, says Rashi, carbon machmas ma'afi tanur is kishetirtu lasos medaycha. You want to do this on your own, on your own volition. Carbon mincha. Amar Rabbi Yehuda menayin lo aimer harilai minchas ma'afei. How do I know if a person says this language of harilai minchas ma'afei? Shelo yavi mechsa chalos or mechsa rakikin. They shouldn't do half and half. Talmud lo aimer carbon mincha. Carbon echad, amarti l'chavo, shnayim v'shloshim carbonis. They can't be different. So you can't have 5 which are chalois and 5 which are kikin. They all have to be the same. Amol Rav Shimon, as we continue to Amud Beis. V'chi nemer carbon shnei pamim. It doesn't say that, right? Which is mashma. It has to be either chalois or kikin, and that's it. Right? So v'aloylu nemar el carbon echad v'nemar bo chalos v'kikin. It says both. So mi'ata, here we see the ratzol havi chalos maybe v'kikin maybe. So we see that if you want, you can bring chalos, you could bring a kikin. Mechsa chalos v'mechsa v'kikin maybe. You could do half and half. But the catch is like this. Uboyulin, you have to crumble them up. The kaimitz mishneh and do kmitz on both of them. The imkamitz va'oil biyadai And therefore, if you did the Kemitza, in that way you yatsa. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda, Omer Menayin, Loimer Harei Alay Minchas Ma'afe Shul Yabi Mechsa Chalos Mechsa Grikikin. You shouldn't do half and half. Talmud V'chol Mincha Asher Tafei B'Tanor. V'chol Nas Mar Cheshes V'Al Machvas. L'Koyin Hamakri Vo Sa it Lo Sieh. V'chol Mincha B'Lu B'Shemen. Any mincha which is mixed up with oil, b'charev or dry. V'chol B'nei Aaron Tihiyeh. So Ma v'chol ha'amar lamata shnei minin chalukin. They're all different. So af v'kol ha'amar lamalo shnei minim chalukin. They all have to be different. So you can't have. In other words, they all have their own separate dinim. Rabbi Huda Shabrakam Rav Shimon. So Yivan the custom b'Shemen. Since it says the word oil twice, so there Rashi says hifsika inyan shein boin ka'achad. They can't come together at the same time. Come on, except carbon nami. Rav Shimon iluk sib b'Shemen havamina davka mechsa chalos mechsa rekikin. You think you'd have to do it that way? Aval chalos l'chudayu rekikin l'chudayu emoloi. You think you can't do it that way? Or chal or rekikin. So kamash Shavuot. If you used to be Yehuda hainu avua, so you can menayu diavad. So the whole question is what is the l'chatchila din or b'diavad? Says Rashi, Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Yehuda, that he learns the reason is mekarben echad. So he said b'diavad, it would be kosher if you did it the other way around. According to the other opinion, he would say that even afilu diavad im irvan psulois, if you would mix them all up, it would be possible. So basically the answer to, actually before we see that, let's see if we have another question. This was Samach Gimel Amud Beis. Okay, we did question 11. That's going to be it for that. That's going to be it for that, right? Question TA12. That we'll see in tomorrow's daf. So let's get TB15 down. Okay, then we'll have to double stop. So ha'aymer harlei minchas ma'afi tanur ma mevi. So this is totally wrong. Okay, so either chalois, right? 10 chalos, or 10 rekikin, right? Or you could do 5 challah and 5 rekikin, right? Or I think what they're looking for is the boileya biyachad. You have to kind of like mix them up together, right? So if you mix it up together, then that's what you're supposed to do. And I think that's what they're looking for this question. Okay, that finishes another parak. So let's make the hadron kol hamanachis. We're now up to the 6th parak. Rabbi Shmuel Omer, he says that Omer hayaba b'Shabbos mishalosh soyin v'chayil mechamish. So we'll see the distinction when it comes to the Omer. There's a distinction between Shabbos and the weekday, exactly how many saw it comes from. That we'll see and discuss more in tomorrow's daf. Adkan.